Imagine a man who began as a fiery socialist journalist, was expelled from his own party for backing war, then reinvented himself as the founder of fascism. In October 1922, he bluffed his way into power without firing a shot, so the legend goes. And within 3 years dismantled a democracy, made a deal with the Pope, and set out to build a new Roman Empire. By April 1945, he was a fugitive, captured on a lakeside road, shot by partisans, and strung up in a Milan square. This is the story of Benito Mussolini, how he rose, how he ruled, and how he fell. Benito Amilcare Andrea Mussolini was born July 29, 1883 in Predappio. A brilliant but unruly student, he became a militant socialist and, by 1912, editor of the party daily Avanti. When he broke with the socialists in 1914 to support Italy's entry into World War I, they expelled him. He founded Il Popolo d'Italia, fought at the front in 1915 to 1917, and emerged convinced that only force and nationalism could remake Italy. In the post-war crisis of strikes, inflation, and street violence, Mussolini organized the Fasci di Combattimento in Milan, March 1919, a mix of veterans, nationalists, and opportunists in black shirts. 2 years later, in November 1921, he turned the movement into the National Fascist Party, PNF. As Italy's liberal state faltered, Mussolini promised order. In late October 1922, fascist squads seized key points around the country and gathered near the capital in the March on Rome. King Victor Emmanuel III refused to declare emergency rule. On October 29, 1922, he invited the 39-year-old Mussolini to form a government, the youngest prime minister in Italian history. The march's peaceful myth hides a wider backdrop of fascist squad violence in the preceding years. Mussolini moved fast. The Acerbo Law, November 1923, tilted elections, so the largest list, over 25%, won 2/3 of parliamentary seats. Under that system, the fascist-dominated bloc took the 1924 vote amid intimidation. When socialist deputy Giacomo Matteotti was kidnapped and murdered in June 1924, Mussolini briefly wobbled. But on January 3, 1925, he declared himself responsible for fascist rule and crushed the opposition. Press gags, parties dissolved, unions smashed, and a special tribunal plus secret police to jail or exile enemies. By 1926, Italy was a one-party state. Fascist ideology touted a corporate state, workers and employers bound in state-controlled corporations under the Charter of Labor, 1927. In practice, independent unions were outlawed, and the regime arbitrated labor on its own terms. Propaganda saturated radio, newsreels, youth groups, and schools. Dissent meant censorship, prison, or internal exile. To prove Italy's greatness, Mussolini looked abroad. In October 1935, Italy invaded Ethiopia. The League of Nations condemned the attack and imposed sanctions, but they were limited and short-lived. Italian forces used mustard gas and bombed Red Cross facilities, war crimes documented even at the time. By May 1936, Addis Ababa had fallen and the King Emperor Haile Selassie fled into exile. Mussolini portrayed the conquest as the rebirth of empire, intervened in the Spanish Civil War, 1936 to 1939, on Franco's side, and tightened ties with Nazi Germany. The Rome-Berlin Axis, 1936, Anti-Comintern Pact, 1937, and finally the Pact of Steel, 1939. With France collapsing, Mussolini declared war on Britain and France on June 10, 1940. The gamble failed. Italy's armies stumbled in North Africa and the Balkans, needing German rescue. After the Allied invasion of Sicily, July 9 to August 17, 1943, the fascist Grand Council voted to remove Mussolini. The king had him arrested on July 25, 1943. Hitler then staged the daring Gran Sasso raid, September 12, 1943, to free him and installed him as head of the Italian Social Republic, a German puppet based at Salo. Civil war gripped northern Italy. Partisans versus fascists and occupying Nazis, deportations and reprisals. As the Axis front collapsed in April 1945, Mussolini tried to escape toward Switzerland with his companion Clara Petacci. Partisans captured them near Dongo on April 27th and executed them on April 28, 1945. Their bodies were taken to Milan's Piazzale Loreto and hung upside down the next day before huge crowds. A brutal, symbolic end to 23 years of fascist rule.